Mixed trade in the grain markets here early on Wednesday morning. It is 6:30 a.m. Central Time. March corn futures down 2 3/4 at 617 1/4. March soybeans up 2.5 cents at 1409 3/4. March Chicago wheat down 14 1/4 at 803 3/4. March Kansas City wheat down 12 cents at 822 1/2. March spring wheat down 15 at 932 1/4. If you guys are listening on the podcast, appreciate it. Leave me a rating or review. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you guys need some additional assistance from me, go to my website. It is www.standardgrain.com. Click on Grain Marketing Plan. Check out my subscription service, guys. Morning email, text message service, all my grain marketing recommendations, subscriber-only videos. That's a monthly deal you can cancel at absolutely any time. I did a video for my subscribers yesterday regarding the 2021 corn and soybean marketing situation. Last year's crops, what I'm advising, what my game plan is. If you're looking for some ideas here, if you want to know exactly what I'm doing, give that subscription deal a shot. There's no obligation. You can cancel it at any time. I won't try to sell you anything else. Check that deal out here the next day or two, guys. Smaller soybean crops in South America are likely to drive more export business to the United States. This should not be a big surprise, and the market has already discounted this. But Oil World Magazine, which is a very well-followed publication, expects that the combined soybean crops of Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay will decline by 3.8% versus last year. Their estimate of 186.3 million metric tons for the four countries combined would be a four-year low. Their quote was this: U.S. farmers will benefit as buyers in the importing country will increasingly shift to U.S. soybeans from June or July onward, with the biggest increase on the year likely to occur in the September to December 2022 timeframe. So they're talking more so like new crop beans, like the 2022 bean crop after September 1st. So the recent rally in the soybean market, guys, has likely discounted, at least to some extent, or perhaps to a significant extent, the idea of a stronger U.S. export program as a result of lighter South American crops. Now, we're not really seeing it for this year. We're still behind where we need to be in regard to sales and shipments, but this could bode very well for new crop exports for the 22-23 marketing year. And that's kind of what Oil World is alluding to here. So no big surprise, but interesting that a very well-followed publication is making that indication here. More Russian news this morning. Russia warns that Moscow will respond to any aggressive action by the U.S. and its European allies. They didn't really give much specifics here. President Biden said yesterday that he would consider personal sanctions on Vladimir Putin if Russia made a move on Ukraine. Russia continues to accuse Western leaders of escalating tensions, but you really haven't seen a whole lot of change here the last couple of days. The situation continues to be monitored, and I'm going to continue to update you guys here because this is potentially a huge story for our markets. That Black Sea region, Russia and Ukraine, account for 29% of all global wheat exports. That's the USDA projection for this year. Ukraine projected to account for 16% of all global corn exports. So if there is any disruption, it's a big deal. There hasn't been a disruption yet, but it's something that we absolutely have to keep an eye on. Argentina will see some scattered rains over the next week. Most key corn and soybean growing areas in Argentina did pretty well here in regard to rain over the last 7 or 10 days. The next week is going to be more scattered rains, but still very cool temperatures. Southern Brazil looks kind of similar here. When you go out through the first week of February, you're still looking at cooler temperatures. So not any major threat here. I don't know if those rains that they caught here over the last 7 or 10 days were enough, but certainly helpful and certainly not a super dire situation for all of Argentina like we have in southern Brazil and Paraguay. Ethanol prices have fallen sharply and remain under pressure. The Chicago Platts ethanol futures contract peaked near $3.45 per gallon in late November. It closed near $2.17 per gallon yesterday. That is a massive loss of $1.28 per gallon, or about 37% in that time frame. During that same time, the WTI crude futures improved from about $78 per barrel to $86 per barrel. So ethanol, the ethanol market itself, has not participated in the more broad energy rally. So margins for the U.S. ethanol producer have suffered as a result. It's not abnormal at all to see ethanol production margins float around break even. That's very normal historically. But you could see ethanol production soften up a little bit here as a result of declining margins, certainly. Big news from the Fed coming out later today. All eyes will be on this deal. So the Fed had their 2-day meeting yesterday and into today, and then today at 1 p.m. Central Time, they will release a statement following that 2-day meeting. They're very likely to signal their first rate hike since 2018 in March. So we should see the Fed increase its Fed fund rate for the first time since 2018 next month. That's probably about a guarantee at this point. The trade is looking for any additional insight into the interest rate situation. How many times do they hike this year? The markets have generally discounted about 4 rate hikes this year, although some people believe that more are possible. The trade will look for clues regarding any other sort of policy change, balance sheet runoff, that sort of stuff. So this could be a market mover here today at 1 o'clock, more so in the outside markets, but could certainly have an effect on everything. The cattle market was mixed in the live cattle and lower in the feeder cattle yesterday. Feeder cattle have been under some pressure here, certainly. Not really a ton of cash trade to speak of. The box beef market was marginally lower. In the outside markets, the U.S. dollar is just a little bit higher here. Stock market's got a nice rebound going on. The S&P's up 60. The Dow Jones is up 360 points. Bonds off a little bit. Precious metals mixed. Crude oil is up 91 cents at 86.51 in the March WTI. Have a great day today, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow morning.